Systematicness, another feature of linguistics. Language is studied in a highly organized way. Obviously, it's a very important subject matter and we studied it in a very organized way. The linguist tries to verify the theory by making objective observation of actual language data. So there is no room for subjectivity that one feels like this, and modifies the theory in the light of what he perceives to be patterns or regularities underlying the data. So, for example, if prescriptivists say that there is no need to use double negative in language, the linguists studying the language find that in English language, this is a very common phenomenon. Systematicness entails the consistent use of terms and procedures. Obviously, like scientists, the linguist uses a certain procedure to reach the conclusion, and he has a repertoire of terminology which he uses to describe certain phenomenon in the language. It requires a strict and vigorous testing of our hypothesis. So, the data before him undergoes a strict observation to verify the hypothesis that the linguist has made. For example, where the noun comes in one language or where the nouns comes in other language, or what is the structure, sentence structure found in one language or the other language. For example, a sound is nasalized whenever it is followed by a nasal sound. So before reaching this conclusion that a sound is nasalized when it is followed by a nasal sound, the linguist undergoes very rigorous studies. For example, we know that in English, a vowel sound, which is an oral sound, becomes nasal when it is preceded and followed by nasal consonant. So, reaching this requires a linguist to undergo many tests. Or a general hypothesis like sound changes are regular. When the linguists say that sound change is regular, so he must go through a complete period of change in which he has to tell that how in different periods the sound has changed. To elaborate on hypotheses, they should be specific. Obviously, if they are vague, they are general, the conclusion that are drawn will be vague and will be ununderstandable and would not benefit the discipline. A well-formed hypothesis should assert one relationship at a time. So the linguist, when studying a certain relationship, for example, as we said, the nasalization of the oral vowels. So the linguist focuses his attention on one phenomenon. He does not try to study relationship between two variables, more than two variables, even if the phenomenon you are dealing with is multivariate. Obviously, when we are studying language, there can be a lot of variables, but the linguist has certain variables like X or Y, and he is focusing his attention on these two variables, ignoring the rest of the variables for the further study. The result of observation and or investigation must be systematically arranged. Obviously, this is like a science work. So like a scientist, the linguist makes a systematic arrangement of all the observation. This must be conducted as an effort to show relationship within the subject matter. So obviously, the one observation should also relate with reference to the other subject matter. If the sounds are being discussed, they should not be independent. They should be taken in a whole. This is also meant to make the reader easy to read. Obviously, when as reader we study the books of the linguist on different subjects of linguistic, we find the reading easy because they have organized the work They have given the things according to a certain procedure, and they have used terminology which is consistent. Systematicness is needed by linguists. So this is one of the important features. So unless linguists use systematicness in defining phenomena in linguistics, the work of linguistics cannot benefit readers and cannot help the researcher to understand language.